Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? It's Chris, aka SSJ Blackrot, here with another episode 48 of Should I Play That? What's going on, everybody? Hope you had a good week, and we're here to talk about some video games. We got a lot of news this week, some interesting news, some heartbreaking news, but, well, I don't know, I feel like there's one bit of news I think we're going to start with that's like the most heartbreaking for me, but we'll get into that soon. Rod, we got Rod in the building. What's going on, Rod? How you doing?
Man, so good. We are inching ever closer to episode 50, which still feels like a dream to me. And as we do that, I feel like, every time we have a guest on, I'm like, yeah, we have a special guest, but we really mean it this time. Like, really, really mean it. Like, we have a really special guest today. I'm super hyped for that.
Yep. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and introduce our guest. You could catch him on Twitch streaming, I feel like what's like almost every night. We got Data Dave in the building. Yo, Dave,
hey,
what's going on, man?
What's going on? How you doing this evening?
Pretty
or
good,
morning?
pretty good. I'm really glad you're able to jump on this week. We're going to talk about streamers and like just streaming in general towards the end of the episode. So we, wanted to have someone that, is on Twitch. You're a Twitch ambassador and everything. So we wanted to get your feedback and like how you feel about just the scene in general.
Oh man, that's a whole topic, man. I'm actually down to talk about it.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
But like, how's everything going, man? What's I guess you can sort of introduce yourself to the people.
All right. Well, catchphrase, of course, is day to day with Data Dave. I gotta say it slower because most people are you saying Data Dave with Data Dave? Like they'll mix. So I had to clarify that. But honestly, like streaming's been cool. Yes, I do stream every day. If you want to know what games I'm playing, if I can go into that. I'm primarily known through Pokemon, but I've been branching out recently and just doing random stuff. Like I beat Outlast. I hate horror movies, but that was an experience in itself, and just hopping around, going to story games.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So speaking about games, that's how we like starting off the show. We like starting off with a segment called Whatcha Been Playin, and that's basically just the gist of that, like what you've been playing recently. So Dave, what you been playing?
What I've been playing? Well, I gave the Pokemon one away, so that DLC hype. I've been on Smash Bros. Pretty heavily. I'm big into fighting games. So Smash, trying to get back into Tekken. I think you need a PhD for Tekken because there's too many moves. There's literally too many moves. I'm like, people do stuff I've never seen. So fighting games. I think the next story game I might hit is Man of Medan and Horizon. Like, those are things I've been touching on. Like, they've been telling me to finish it forever. And Astral Chain, of course, too. So, like, I'm just kind of hopping around, seeing how I kind of feel from a growth perspective, seeing what games I can grow from. But also, I want to provide entertaining video games for both me and my community. So you got to make that balance,
Right,
So
right.
That's what I've been playing right now. I'm just kind of hopping around.
So, I mean, all right, so I have the same problem of, and like, this isn't me streaming, this is just me as like, just a gamer, just hopping around from like game to game, like, how do you do it? Like, if you're really sucked into a game, like, do you just stick with that game and stream that, or do you have to like, find a way to split it up between everything?
So, it depends on what your goal is. Like, do you mean like, just as a gamer, like what, to play, or are you talking about like growth as a streamer, or?
Well, no, more or less, just as a gamer, like, if you have, like, a bunch of, like, if you have a big backlog, like, for example, like, I think right now I'm playing through, the new Dragonball game, still playing through Call of Duty, I think I still have some games on my Switch that I'm still playing, so, it's a lot of games, like, what do you do to, decide what you're gonna stream, I guess?
Well, for me, cause like, at the end of the day, like everybody has different goals of streaming. Like I want to grow. I do research which games I feel that I can grow from, and I test out and see how it goes. But if it's a game I feel like I can't grow through, let's just say I don't play Fortnite. We're going to use Fortnite because, growing on that's very difficult because there's so many streamers. It's like, well, that's just my off-stream game, or if I make a YouTube video, that'll be for YouTube, But for me, how I decide to stream, it's a mixture of what do I feel to be entertaining for both me and my community, and what can be entertaining and potentially grow. So I just make that balance. You know what I mean? Some games I really love. Like, I love a whole bunch of PS2 games. But, like, it's like being realistic. Like, will I grow from this? It's like, you know what? I'll just play on my own free time. You know what I mean? But since I do stream 5 hours plus every day, that's really my game time of the day. So you just gotta pick and choose depending on what your goals are.
Okay.
So that's how I pick.
I'm actually really interested in you mentioned that you wanted to play Man of Medan. You just finished Outlast. So what kind of, and you don't like horror games.
Oh, I hate horror games. My community makes fun of me.
What is it? I'm sorry, go ahead.
So how this started is, like, fun fact about me, I think the only horror movie I watched was because of a girl, and we seen a Ouija board. Like, and I was jumping at every jump scare and I said, yeah, skip horror movies. Granted, this was probably only like 6 years ago. So, I just don't watch that genre. Like, I've never experienced it, exposed it. I've watched my friend play Until Dawn. So, like, I jumped at everything, was yelling. So it's just like, I'm not used to horror games. So my community loves it to death because in Outlast, I jumped at literally every jump scare except like one that I called in the game. So, like, don't get me wrong. It's not that I hate them. It's just like, I'm not used to them. So, like, I'm always walking super anxious and all that jazz. But, like, I love watching the clips back to be like, I reacted to that. It's a tangent, but the funniest clip to me is that, like, this was the first jump scare of the game. I opened the door, something popped out, I jumped back, and I unplugged my controller, so I'm like, dang, okay, I fixed this. So I reset the game, and I went to that same door. Would you believe that same door still got me? Like, it wasn't this drastic, but I was just like, oh. I kept going. I was like, yo. So it's just funny stuff like that's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And I was interested because, like, I'm always interested in what leads people to play the things they play and why that is. And you kind of explained that so eloquently with, like, hey, you're trying to strike a balance between, the community and things that you may actually want to play as well. Something kind of adding on to that horror game element is, it's interesting to me that, with horror games specifically, they have such a great ability to really drive directly into the heart of the player, like, whereas other media is so, like, it's kind of stationary, when you're watching a film or reading a book or things like that. It's like you're participating, but only so much. Whereas with a game, obviously you have full control over all of that. So I think horror games are amplified that much more. And it's a genre that I feel is much tougher to swallow in gaming than any other media.
I agree completely with you on that, man.
I was gonna say, I feel like, I don't know how the logistics will work, for you to stream it, but you should do Resident Evil 7 in VR.
That's in VR. See, look, yeah, I'm gonna pretend I heard the words. I heard the words Resident Evil 7 and nothing else. No, that's too immersive. We ain't there yet.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah, I did that. I played all the way through in VR, and oof. I don't know, it sort of turned into a horror movie for me because it really feels like you're in the game. Mm-hmm. But the way I am, like, I get really hype. So it turned from like a horror movie into an action movie. So, like, beginning of the game, I was, peeking around corners. I was, like, being really, really scared with, like, these enemies and everything. But towards the end of the game, like, I'm running up to folks, like, shooting them with a shotgun or pulling out my knife if I was really feeling myself. So, I don't know, it was pretty cool. Like, I say if you're not going to stream it, at least try it out. Try it out at least once.
Not VR, I'm with you. 200%. That'd be too real, man. Man, I can't deal with them on my screen. So it's like, I can imagine them, like, all around. Like, nah, okay. But I'll put that in the suggestion box.
Nice, yeah. Nice.
I do have one more question about your Whatcha Been Playin list. I would actually like you to sort of talk about your experience with Pokemon Sword and Shield and what you think of the expansions.
Oh, man, that's a whole topic. Okay, so I won't go too long on it, but in regards to Pokemon Sword and Shield, just a little tidbit about me. I've been streaming Pokemon since Pokemon Sun and Moon, and then I went and played all the older games. So, like, I really streamed most of all the games. So, Pokemon Sword and Shield in comparison to other game, honestly, I dare say it's, people can tag me for it, one of the top 3 Pokemon games. There's a lot of stuff they changed and did right to make the game better. Quality of life features, fun, things. The only weakest part about Sword and Shield is the story. Like, it's like, you're a kid and there's all these adults, which I'm glad they brought more adults to the series, but, like, they're like, oh, this issue's going on. Yeah, we'll let him handle it. You know what I mean? And then the end of the game comes, they're like, oh, snap, we actually might need you for the last hour of the game. And that's the kind of the story. No real antagonist, so very weak story. Gameplay, the wild area, like, I think, are you all familiar with the wild area in the game?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, honestly, when I first streamed it and started playing it, I spent like 3 to 4 hours in the wild area just seeing what's around. Like, it took me like 4 to 5 hours just to get to the first gym. Cause like I was just having that much fun. Like that's a great thing that they could bring back the adventure aspect of Pokemon versus the linearity of most games. Like, okay, this gym, that gym, this gym, we can finish this in 8 hours. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they did that amazing. For competitive battling, it's been the most welcoming it has ever been because it's that much easier to get competitive minds so you can compete. They made it easier. And it's just like a lot of other things they added that I do appreciate. Now, the most popular topic, I mean, do let me know if y'all want to chime in too. I could talk a while on this. The most popular topic is, like, they only had about, I forgot the amount of Pokemon they have. We'll say 200 to 300 because I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. So they cut out most of the Pokemon. I actually love that because if you look at every competitive scene in Pokemon, you got like Landorus T, you got certain Pokemon that have been there for the past generations in that game. So now that you have a limited pool, different stuff can be used. That just makes me ecstatic. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To hop to DLC, I like the idea of DLC being added and them adding Pokemon. Like, a lot of people don't, but granted, I would have been upset if they would say, hey, we're coming out with Pokemon Ultra Sword, Ultra Shield. Like, no, like, give me a spinoff and just give me DLC, and I'm content. Right. They added more Pokemon in there. What's cool about it, I don't know the details, but Pokemon Worlds, I think, is in June. After you compete in, like, one of the World Championships or whatever it is, then 200 new Pokemon come. So the game's going to change for the next competition. Because now you got a new meta. You got some Pokemon that might mesh, some older Pokemon that get added back, meshing with the new ones. That's 200 more. Then in December, after another tournament, 200 more are added. So that changes. It's just going to keep changing the meta, which will make it very interesting from a competitive standpoint. New area, new story. I don't know the details of the story. I don't think it's going to be super in-depth. I know it's new wild areas, but, like, the fact that you're adding back favorites, changing the forms of what? Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres, which is kind of fire.
Yeah, that was dope.
You can do it. So, like, it's a lot. But I mean, that's my tidbits. I could talk for days on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, really cool to hear because I'm a casual Pokemon person. Yeah. So, like, you know, I've followed a couple generations here and there, and that was it. Mostly the early ones. So I'm a filthy Gen 1er, I think they call us. And I actually echo almost all the sentiments that you do about Sword and Shield. Like, I felt like the wild area to me, and I said this in prior episodes, but, like, it is to me the ultimate manifestation of what Pokemon always should have been, which is, like, this grand adventure. You're always, like, Pokemon legitimately can scare the hell out of you. Like, I love it. I love that idea. You know, you might run across one that is just too much for your team. And then the idea of, like, the co-op battles is something that just endlessly delighted me. Like, it was just so much fun every single time. And the fact that they're even adding onto that with the one of the new DLC packs is really exciting as well, I thought.
Exactly. I like that. They're making the game more cooperative. They kind of touched on it on Pokemon Let's Go being local, but having a new co-op area, I really hope it's some type of online co-op. I don't know the details of it. I haven't read too much on it, but, like, that's cool that they're keeping that in mind. Like, it's finally, the funny part is it looks like Game Freak is finally starting to listen to people because, you know, like, I really think Nintendo's been making it. It's a whole tangent, but I really think Nintendo's starting to actually take more player feedback in some areas. Because a lot of stuff that hardcore Pokemon fans have been complaining about was addressed in this game. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, it's a lot of things from, I can't compete in a tournament because it's going to take me 2 weeks to get a Pokemon team ready. And, you know, or I need somebody to gen it. You know what I mean? Which a lot of people look down upon. I don't gen. But, you know what I mean? Just making it friendly. Like, it's more welcoming.
Mm-hmm. I'll say it's good to hear that majority of the things that we've said in the last couple of episodes, you know, you feel the same way because, you know, I feel like I'm in the same boat with you with, like, the whole competitive scene where I got sick and tired of seeing, like, the same Pokemon and, you know, everyone had, like, the same team, it felt like half the time. So, you know, shaking it up is really cool. I didn't know that they were adding the new Pokemon after these tournaments, which I think is genius, so that you're forced to, you know, use these Pokemon, and then we'll give you more, and then the meta's going to change, and then, you know, once again, there's another tournament, add more, meta change. I think that's cool. So, I'm excited about that. You know, I was, like, really disappointed a little bit about them saying that it was, like, a next-gen Pokemon. Because, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, next-gen Pokemon, that sounds really good. You know, you look at games like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you look at stuff like Breath of the Wild. These games are amazing on the Switch. But then you sort of look at Pokemon Sword and Shield, and like, to me though, like the quality sort of dropped down a little bit. It sort of looked like it was like a 3DS port that they sort of just up-res to the Switch.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate all of the, quality of life changes. Like I was part of that boat where I was like, yo, I don't want to get back into competitive battling because of how long it takes to get like a team going. And then, I know this stuff like Pokemon Showdown, so you can sort of test these teams out, but I don't know, I was sort of like in between of trying to be competitive, but then at the same time, like I was still casual. So, I love it. And then just the ease of just people being able to jump in, they're able to battle, they're able to, create really good teams. It's cool. I like it.
Good deal, man.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to shout out in your What You Been Playing?
I think I hit most of the main things, man. Anything Nintendo really.
Okay. I was also gonna say Astral Train. Play that. I want to watch you play that.
I actually started that. I didn't get too far. I think I'm like 2 hours in. It's interesting. Like, you can definitely tell it's an anime game in my opinion. Like, it's made by a series that made Bayonetta, or at least the studio.
Yeah.
Cause like once I saw they had a whole anime intro, like literally 2 minutes of the game, I'm like, yeah, I see what y'all doing. Go ahead, go off. I'm with it.
Yeah, that's what sucked me into the game. Like just that whole aesthetic of it sort of being like an anime beat 'em up. Like it's really good. So I don't know. I gotta check in your streams whenever you're playing that.
Hey, sounds good, man. Appreciate it.
All right. So Rod, we got you, man. What you been playing?
I've been playing quite a bit. I'm gonna run through this somewhat quickly, so because I know we have a lot to get to today. But the first thing I played was Donut County, finally, on Switch. That is published by Annapurna, made by Ben Esposito, and it is a game about a hole that opens up in town, and you just kind of drop things into the hole, and the hole gradually gets bigger as more items are accumulated into it. That is the game. Like that is the gameplay, the core. Like 95% of what you're doing, that is it. And it sounds like, you might go, well, how can they make a game out of that? Well, they did. And they did it pretty well, I would say. The art style is so cool. It reminds me of like, it's very obviously cartoony, but it's like things are very exaggerated, but kind of like in a very colorful things like really pop, I would say. And the thing about it is the point of the game is actually, it's a huge allegory for gentrification. Really? It's actually really cool. I
would have never figured those words would be in the same sentence.
Right. It's like,
right. Yeah, I mean, it's wild, but it's, so without giving too much away, and it's not a long game, it's like a couple hours long, but, basically there's this raccoon who is actually manning this hole. He downloaded an app that actually pops these holes up all over town, and he's just constantly like he's just sucking things in this hole. I would also say that, later on in the game, it does get progressively more clever. So at some point, you're just kind of getting used to just throwing things in there, but at some point you might, for example, one of the puzzles is like, okay, you have to figure out a way to get a hot air balloon in this hole, but obviously it's a hot air balloon, it's actually tied down on strings, so what you have to do is actually what you do is you can actually heat up the hole. Like I think there's a fire or something that you can make fall in, and then it heats up and it actually lifts the balloon up like off of the strings. It's things like that happen that in the game consistently in the back half that make it super clever. And I actually really, really enjoyed my time with it. And the music is really dope too. And I was not expecting that either. I was expecting, to be honest, not a lot. I went off of it. I went to it off of word of mouth alone, and I'm really, really happy I did. It's like, I picked it up on sale for like $6 or $7, perfect price. I highly recommend it. Even like double the MSRP, I think it's worth it. So definitely worth checking out. I also played Gris, which is, I cannot remember the studio's name. I will look that up, but it was actually published. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't that, starts with the A, like Anna?
Annapurna published Donut County, but Devolver they published, Gris.
Oh,
this was,
okay.
Yeah, it might be Ardent Studios, maybe? It's a foreign studio, but like
Devolver Digital?
Yeah, Devolver Digital definitely. Yeah, they published it. And the developer might be like Ardent or something. But this is also a game that I had recommended to me directly, as, you know, and I had my eye on it before. Another game I'm super, super glad I played. Very short, but, very much to the point. It's a game about a girl dealing with, loss and kind of walking through the 5 stages of grief. And it is a game, again, that the art style is like second to none. Like, I think it came out at the end of or the beginning of last year or the end of 2017. It came out, or 2018. It's about a year old now, but it's honestly spectacular. Like, the music is it has this like kind of orchestral sweeping kind of vibe to it. You're primarily platforming and solving kind of light puzzles as you're kind of going through this fantastical world. You gain abilities as you're going through. It's like a Metroidvania, but without the backtracking. And it is really fascinating. Eventually you gain abilities like swimming and double jumping and things like that to kind of make some of the puzzles like really inventive. There is a world towards the end that is actually like a topsy-turvy world where you're actually kind of floating between like different dimensions, and like you kind of have to play things backwards, like it's a parallel world that's in reverse. And it's really, really interesting and awesome, and I would say emotionally affecting by the end. I thought it was actually like I don't want to sound like disparaging, because I think that like the game did a good job with its story, but Sea of Solitude last year, I think gameplay wise is kind of what I expected out of that. And that's kind of what I got in Gris. So yeah, awesome game. A few hours long, certainly worth your time. And the last game I played that I was really happy I finally got to was Life is Strange 2, Episode 5. Finally got through that. It's been out for a month, but I've just been so busy. As I mentioned on the show before, it was hard to sit down and just play it in one sitting, but I finally got to it. And I have to say, like, I honestly, I think as on the whole, like as a package, I think Life is Strange 2 is better, but I enjoyed the characters, and I think that just the general narrative conceit of the original Life is Strange more. I do think that the endings here are more varied. In Life is Strange 1, you only got like, you got a very binary choice. You got this happens or that happens. Life is Strange 2, that there's like 6 or 7 different endings that wildly vary depending on what you've actually done, not only in that episode, but from episodes 1 through 4. And overall, I think the game is powerful. It's talking a lot about, politics, things that we are going through today, and concepts like immigration, racism, homophobia, things like that. Like, there's a lot of this. It's heavy. It's a heavy game, but it's necessary. And I know, Chris, we had this conversation during the Game of the Year podcast of like, oh man, it didn't make the top 10 list, and maybe that is a regret, because we kind of wanted to see, like, would it be able to stick the landing? I hadn't completed it at that time. Well, this game stuck the landing, I think.
Okay,
so it's definitely worth checking out for sure, especially if you liked the original. The ending I got particularly was brutal, but it was like it seemed appropriate for just how I played this game. And I think at the end of the day, that's how you kind of want all of these adventure games to go. You want to not feel like you can see the strings behind them. And here I think it was a little tougher. Obviously there are certain mechanics that I think just, if you play a lot of games, you'll just be able to decipher those. But here it's a little bit tougher, and I'm just so glad that they're not afraid to really touch on some harsh topics. And I have to say again that the idea that you're traveling with your brother in this game, and he has his own morality system. So you can go through the entire game telling him one thing, and the player character, you're doing something else, your brother he may not follow the directions. If you tell him, hey, don't use your powers ever because like you don't know how to use it, you can't control it, whatever, and then you tell him to consistently break those rules, or you display behavior that kind of contradicts your values, he'll go against you, and he'll kind of go on his own path. I managed to kind of like have a playthrough where I told him to be like how to try to be a good person as best as possible, or maybe only use your powers like in extreme circumstances, and he actually ended up like trusting me, obeying me, and like we ended up having a good relationship. But like that's going by like the choice map at the very end of the game, it can go very much not that way. So that's really, really cool, and not something that they actually did before in Life is Strange 1. So very pleased that they not only implemented it here, but we're able to actually see that through all the way from beginning to end. And again, very emotional experience. Playing Gris and Life is Strange 2 back to back was a very emotional few days for me, for sure. Just narratively. But yeah, I think I might just cleanse my palate with like Overwatch or something. I don't know.
I also don't know. That's like the opposite end of the spectrum. Like at that point, it's rage, right?
Right.
The rank climb, man.
Right. True.
Right.
True.
Man, if I may chime in for that, man, I didn't like my Life is Strange 2 ending.
Oh,
I did not like it. I'm not gonna go into detail, of course, for spoilers, but Daniel ain't listening to me. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm like, like, you ain't real, but it's okay. I mean, I'm content and understand my ending, but I was definitely like, boy, listen, he ain't listening. I'm like, well, this is my ending. It's all right.
I'm actually really excited because I haven't gotten to talk to anyone who's actually played 2. So did you play? My first question is, did you play the original and did you like it?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed the first one. More so for the turns. It felt a bit slow through most of the game, but I really liked Chloe. Main character grew on me, but I enjoyed the first one. I do agree with you on how it's just like literally a binary ending.
Mm-hmm.
How they did Life is Strange 2 was really, really well. Cause like, I think anybody that plays that blind, like once you get to the end of the game, you'll understand why it turned out that way. Like for me, I was very like use your powers, but follow the law. You do the full rules. You know what I mean? I was very strict. So I'm like, I want to teach them about to be right. But for me, I felt that, without going into details, it just ended up in a different way than I would have wanted it to be. But at the end of the day, it was like, well, I'm the one that reinforced these ideals, so it's on me. It was a very interesting experience for Stream. They still roasted me for it, but that's okay. That's okay.
For sure.
It was a really good playthrough.
Nice. Oh man, that makes me so excited. We'll have to talk like off mic about that ending for sure.
Oh sure, I'm still salty, but it's okay. But nah, I'm with you, most def.
Awesome. All right, Chris.
I was gonna say, dang, now I need to play that now. That sounds really
yes,
good.
You need to play it.
You do. Chris, what you been playing?
Oh boy. Oh man, I gotta get comfortable for this one. So, this past week, Dragonball Z Kakarot came out. Everyone knows I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. I mean, it's sort of in the name, Blackkarot. But, and I guess I sort of talked about it last week where I sort of like knew my expectations sort of going in. I was like, all right, this is a Dragon Ball Z game, so I'm going to go in with like the rose tinted glasses. But then at the same time, I don't like, arena fighters, which this game is like a mix of an arena fighter. And a lot of Dragon Ball Z games have like really light RPG elements, but this one is like, hey, like we're really pushing the RPG elements in this one. And you sort of see it in the beginning. They sort of introduce you to like, eating certain meals will buff your stats. And then of course like there's levels. While you're leveling up, you can learn moves. You can upgrade those moves with like the orbs that you collect. So there's a lot of like moving pieces that's going on in the game that's keeping me entertained in that aspect. So like if I see that I'm getting close to a level and I want to unlock a move, hey, I'll sort of like fly around the open world and, get orbs so I could level up. So I mean I respect the RPG elements. I respect, the story, of course, is Dragon Ball Z. Same story that we've, seen for over like how long? I think it's like 30 30
Yeah.
years now at this point, right? Yeah, it's been a minute. So same story. So for someone going in that knows the story already, I haven't watched Z in years. So going in, like, I know what's happening, but it's sort of like it hits that fan service of, the animations is really good. And also, it's developed by CyberConnect too. So if you played any of like the Naruto games in the past decade, you sort of know what quality you're getting with, like, the cutscene animations, with the fight, like, there's just like the gameplay, like, while you're in a fight, certain cutscenes sort of happen that make it feel like you're watching the anime at the same time. So, that's another really positive point, is that the game looks really good. And this is coming off of, like, Dragon Ball Fighters that, once again, looks like you're watching the anime. This is, the same aspect. It looks really good. And alright, so at this point, this is where I'll start like pulling back, and that's when the rose tinted glasses, they shattered, and I gotta be a little bit real now with the game. Gameplay wise, like the moment to moment, it sort of feels like it's a huge step back. So like while you're in like these open worlds, think of it like being, it's like an open hub. So like you have different points in the map that you could go to, and like if you play Dragon Ball Z, if you watch Dragon Ball Z, you'll see a lot of areas that you should recognize from the show. So it's cool flying around these environments, but then at the same time, the flying feels really clunky. Like really clunky to the point where like the first 15-20 minutes I had to really sit there and think, damn, like the flying, like you have like a sense of speed, but at the same time you're like sort of, I don't know, like just it's not really well tuned. And like this is me coming off of like playing Spider-Man, where Spider-Man to me has like the best like open world movement mechanics. Like I think the only reason why I used the fast travel in Spider-Man was to get the trophy.
Yeah.
Like, any other time I'll just swing over there.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that they really fine-tuned, the developers for Spider-Man really fine-tuned the aspect of momentum and giving you speed, like that visceral feeling of like it actually mattering, like at what point, like, are you, like, jumping off from something? Or at what point are you actually swinging? Like, giving you enough inertia to, like, actually feel real. Obviously, visual effects go into that as well, but, like, it just feels like there's a lot more going on in that system. At least from what I'm hearing you describe about, Kakarot.
Yeah, that's not here. That's like, it's, like, you move fast, but, like, sometimes you're too fast. So a lot of times I'm missing orbs, or I'm overshooting where I'm trying to go. So I don't know if that's just, maybe that's on my end where I just got to get better with flying around, but it's, I don't know, like it just feels off. Now to the meat and potatoes of the game, like the actual like fighting while you're, either doing like the open world random battles or like the actual story battles. So I really wish it was better. Like, once again, it's an arena fighter, so your options are really, toned down. In this game, the, like, physical melee attacks, just literally, you're mashing the attack button. You're mashing the attack button, and then once you finish out the combo, you'll have, like, a, window of opportunity to sometimes, fire off a beam, or, try and, like, chase them down so you can do, like, like another special move. So, like, it's really simple. It's a really simple, but like it's too simple. Mm-hmm. To the point where the first like 2 hours of the game, or maybe 3-4 hours, I literally, like I said, was just mashing circle until the enemy's bar was gone. So that's a pretty big letdown. And then like sort of going a little bit further into, you start off the Saiyan Saga, go into the Namek Saga. Once you get to the Namek Saga, like I feel like the game sort of starts picking up with the difficulty, and you start fighting like named enemies. So you're fighting like Doria, Zarbon, you're fighting Frieza. Sometimes you're fighting these characters all at once by yourself, and the game is like these enemies are just throwing special attacks at you the whole time. Like you would think, hey, it's a game, it's an RPG, they might have like some sort of delay or they might have to wait before they could do it, sort of like how we're playing. No, like there have been fights where I'm literally dodging like special beam cannons or dodging like death balls just back to back to back. And I'm like, yo, chill, relax. It's not that serious. So I don't know. Like I feel like I'm learning now not to just mash the buttons. Now I'm learning to sort of move around, dodge. The enemies glow red sometimes to show that they're about to do an unblockable attack. So when you see that, pull back, get ready to block. Sometimes get ready to just move out the way. And now, like I'm, learning the mechanics of the game, the mechanics of just fighting. It's gotten a little bit better, but like I said, it's still a little bit too easy. And I don't know. I knew what I was getting myself into when jumping into the game, so I can't say I'm disappointed, but I'm still disappointed.
Mm.
But I will finish it off saying that, my biggest thing with, playing games is whether or not it's, is it fun? And sometimes it's fun. So, and I think that's just more or less of me just loving Dragon Ball Z so much that I'm still having fun with it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can still pull myself back and think, damn, if this wasn't Dragon Ball Z, would I still like this game?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, part of the appeal for me, and I haven't played this game yet, and I'm unsure when I'll get to it, if ever, but like, one of the bits of appeal for me is that they are inserting like some of those side missions with like famous filler arcs, like the Goku driver's license thing and all this other stuff that seem like really fun and that haven't been explored yet in a game. I do think that it feels like just a tiny bit stale to kind of go through just like the Z saga, like from beginning to end. I mean, I get why that would be cool for a lot of people, but it just feels like we're not really doing or seeing anything else than. And
that's a good point because, our viewers know that I will play side quests, but then I'll get distracted and just say, hey, I just want to finish the game. So I'll just stick along the main path. This is one of the games that I guess, once again, the love of Dragon Ball Z, I'm actually doing these side quests, and they do introduce, characters from like the original Dragon Ball, some characters that sort of just like disappeared because Akira Toriyama like completely forgot about them. So some people are coming back. They all have like side quests, and like it's written like Dragon Ball. So it's like I feel like those bits, like when I see a side quest pop up, I'll actually stop what I'm doing in the story and going over and doing those. They explore just like how Yamcha is like a goofball. Yeah, he's a goofball. He's like I feel like anytime I see that there's a Yamcha side mission, like I'm definitely heading towards over to it because they're funny. As they should be. So, but I mean, and the game is like, it's self-aware. So like I said, in these side quests, they're sort of written in a way that you sort of expect, like I said, with like the Yamcha stuff. So that sort of had me laughing. And some quests are like, I don't know, like there's a lot of quests where it's like, hey, like go collect like these type of things and then come back. So, those missions are, not fun. And I feel like that sort of ruins, like just the flow of the game.
Man, you got me, Mike. Want to go back and play it? I got to be honest. I live uninstalled it.
Oh shit!
I'm not even feeling bad. I'm like, dang, this game does sound good, but man, I only played 64 minutes. It was sent on Steam, and I was just like it was cool, but I don't know, man. It's hard for me to go through the story again.
That's fair enough. It is. So I'm guessing you said 64 minutes. You were probably still doing like the Reddit stuff, right?
Yep, exactly. I was just like I'm good. I'm gonna switch games.
Yeah, and that's fair because like that first bit, like it's that, like I said, a lot of like these mechanics are being thrown at you, and they're not like enticing enough. Like nothing's like. So like once you push past that, like I said, it gets harder to me, and that sort of like amps the fun a little bit. So like I said, I sort of had to change how I was playing the game at that point. Once they were doing all these moves, I couldn't stop. And like I said, like once you're doing like these handicap battles, it's tough. Like I don't know how they did it in the show, but like I have that feeling of holy shit, I'm fighting like these 2-3 people at once, and it's just me. So that's cool, but it's just that's where it stops. And then at that point, that's when like the negatives start becoming it's in your face at that point. But at this point, I played maybe about 12. No, I'm lying. I'm like 15 hours in now. Like I legit played the game for 12 hours on Friday, and I am starting the Android saga. But what I do like is in between the sagas, they have like these intermission parts where you can focus on side quests. They've now opened up where you can start collecting the Dragon Balls. So, it's the game I feel like is adding more. That's making me want to play the game more over time. But you sort of have to, I guess, push past that hump of, yeah, this game isn't great, but I'm too much of a Dragon Ball fan to, stop playing. But that's what I got for Dragon Ball. Like it's, I just based off what I'm playing right now, like I said, I honestly couldn't really recommend it. I can only recommend it as like a sale game. Like if you're picking it up on sale, if you're a huge fan of Dragon Ball, but even at that, take everything that I said, like it's rough. Like it's not good, but it's fun to me. So like that's that weird like balance of,
right.
Should I be playing this game? Should I be playing other stuff? But
yeah, it's too early for this, Chris. It's too early in the year for all this. We can't Anthem this or Days Gone it.
Oh man,
right about that.
Damn, you just brought up some memories. Crap.
Stop while you're ahead.
It's definitely not like an Anthem thing.
Okay.
But then again, like I said, if this wasn't Dragon Ball, would this be an Anthem thing?
I feel like yes. The answer is yes. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is your Days Gone.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's what's happening right now. Dave, so just quick side note, I played Days Gone for entirely too much time, maybe 40, 50 hours. It's pretty embarrassing, to be honest. I did not really enjoy it for the first, 25 or so. Why I kept playing it, I don't know. I think it partially is because I heard that, the game gets a lot better later on, so I was like, oh, I want to get to the good part. And I just kept playing it and playing it and playing it. It was, not getting good yet. But until it actually got tolerable, I would say. Legitimately, it wasn't just Stockholm Syndrome. It actually kind of became or morphed into a decent game by the end, but it took way too much time to get there. You should not have to play a game for 45 hours before it gets good.
Right.
And so it feels like Chris might be going through a similar thing where he's not really liking it, but he keeps playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely where I'm at right now. So I think by the time next week's episode will be out, I probably will be done with this game. Like I said, I am pretty much getting towards halfway through. I'm in that third big arc right now. Oh, second big arc right now. In total, I've been looking around. People online are saying the game is about 40 hours if you're just doing the main stuff. If you're doing some side stuff, that'll then increase to maybe I guess about 60 to about 75 hours. But do I feel like I want to do these fetch quests for that long? I don't know. Like I said, I'll sort of pick and choose. If I see it's a Yamcha mission, I'll probably jump into it. Or if I see if it's Vegeta or Gohan. But yeah, what's his name? Dr. Briefs. If he asks me to fucking collect these stones one more time, I will never play his missions again. But yeah, that's all I got, for my Whatcha Been Playin for this week. Once again, we want to extend the questions or this question out to you guys. What have you guys been playing? Let's talk about it in the comments, whether you're watching us on YouTube, if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening us to. Let's talk. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So, next up, we're going to go ahead and jump into the news. And like I said at the beginning of the show, majority of this news is disappointing for a lot of people. It's pretty tough. So I'll start off with my biggest break, what I didn't like. But we're going to jump into Smash Ultimate, Super Smash Brothers. We recently had a Nintendo Direct, and we found out who the last DLC character is.
I got feelings.
Oh boy.
I got feelings. I have a lot of feelings.
So we're getting Byleth from Fire Emblem Three Houses. So now I'm hearing it now. Everyone's like, oh boy, another Fire Emblem character. And I think watching the direct, like even Sakurai said something about it. He was like, once we start this clip, you'll know who it is, and it is what it is at this point. So yeah, we got Byleth in Smash. Guys, how do you feel?
I can talk all day on this. You sure you want me to go first? You want to, Rod?
Yeah, mine is very short. Byleth is okay, I guess, but I think that's way too many Fire Emblem characters in this game, to be honest. But yeah, go ahead. You guys have the floor, cause I'm more of a casual Smash guy.
You sure you wanna go before me, Chris? Cause I got feelings. I got a rant. Okay,
Dave,
I'm gonna keep it short. How am I feeling about Byleth? Okay, so we go into history. Now, Nintendo said, I don't know the exact quote, but the Character Pack 1, they originally said that they're gonna be bringing characters from different franchises in, right? Mm-hmm. Which they did for the first 4, so the 5th one means they lied. It's like now, if you're gonna say you're gonna bring characters from different franchises, then say we've already picked the 5, Fire Emblem technically doesn't make sense. So that one I think was the biggest hit, which is why I feel, granted, it's Fire Emblem, that's already gonna be negative, whatever. But because they said that statement, I think that's why a lot of diehard Smashers are upset. Cause that's what I was just like, there's no way they would add Fire Emblem, Pokemon, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what's something funny is, despite me being disappointed about that, I knew Byleth would become a character in the game. I thought Byleth would be in Character Pack 2, because they said that statement about Character Pack 1, right? Mm-hmm. Character Pack 2 has 6 characters. I could easily see a new Pokemon. I knew they were going to add Byleth or one of the main houses. Because they haven't said anything about Character Pack 2. Mm-hmm. They could have been 5 different franchises, and let's bring back, I don't know, Geno, Byleth, a Pokemon. So it's fair game. But and them add another Fire Emblem character, I'm not upset because I put so much hours in the Fire Emblem 3 houses. You know what I mean? So it's I love that game. It's in fairness, it's okay, that's a good pick, but it was bad timing as your final Character Pack 1 choice. But I like the Byleth edition. I'll probably be playing them, but I don't know. It's I'm not too upset. I'm just upset at the time. That would have been an amazing Character Pack 2 first person to announce. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's the thing where I'm 7 to 8.
So it's
so let me ask you, who were you expecting? Why were you
okay, I had a couple. All right, Dante was the most realistic with the announcement they had January 16th, just ironically. Mm-hmm. So Dante, I was really thinking about that Travis dude from No More Heroes, because he was holding up a 3, and aren't they getting a 3rd game or something like that?
Yeah.
So I still see him as a potential character, honestly. Everybody wants Sora. I wouldn't mind it, but I'm not too diehard. I'm still waiting on Geno. I'm just Geno and Waluigi to get in there. Waluigi for the memes, but let's be real. Ridley was a meme that became real. So it's exactly. I could easily see, if Ridley was added, I could easily see Geno being added, because that was such a big demand. They added Sans, technically, you know what I mean? So I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. I was hoping for Dante. I was hoping for Travis. I guess a lot of people, like you said, were hoping for Sora. I was part of Twitter, the Twitterverse. I was like, yo, we need Goku in this game.
Ain't gonna happen. You know what? You never know. They added Fire Emblem, anything can happen.
Yeah, so I'm the same boat. I was not expecting a Fire Emblem character. It would have been the perfect first for the season pass 2. Exactly. I'm thinking they might do if I look at trends, I look at things that are consistent. If they add a Mario character for the next season pass, I feel Waluigi would be a perfect
Exactly. I think he's gonna be the last character, just to be wait, what? Really? I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So dang, yeah. It's tough. It is what it is at this point. He will be out at the end of the month, so he'll be out, and then of course they're doing some Mii Fighter skins. I'm loving that they have a Cuphead skin.
Yeah, I'm actually starting practicing Mii Gunner just because of Cuphead. I've been training over the past couple of days. I'm ready. That's hype.
Yeah. That is a really cool one. I'm actually in the middle of a Cuphead playthrough right now.
It's a great game. I love it.
Yeah, so that's that with Smash. Next up, more disappointing news. We have it's officially delay season, guys. We're in it. We're in the thick of it right now. Whatever you're looking forward to coming out this year, it's probably been pushed back. So we've had a couple get announced over this past week. We have Final Fantasy VII being pushed from March to April, which isn't too bad. Avengers, which got pushed from May to September, and then we have Cyberpunk 2077 from April to September. Guys, how you feel about delay season?
You go first. You want me to get it?
Yeah, I definitely want to highlight the Cyberpunk one really quickly because we actually have confirmation, and it sucks because now we know like they're going to be, those developers are going to be doing crunch, like and doing extra long hours. That was actually out on Twitter very recently, so that really sucks. It makes me very sad. And I always want to highlight stuff like that because it goes, I think when it's, as far as the gaming enthusiast community goes, like I think sometimes it's easy to forget that like the people who are bringing us these games are literally killing themselves when they don't need to. That does not need to happen. Let me be very clear about that. But you know, it's just, I think we could just as a whole maybe like hopefully speak up a little bit about that and raise and just be aware that that type of stuff is happening. And yeah, so I definitely wanted to make sure that we highlighted that at first. The Final Fantasy one isn't too bad, honestly. That's 1 month. I think honestly they moved it because I think it's coming out in March, right? Yeah, I actually am not sure about that one because that is one that has been data mined already. So presumably that game is like mostly complete at this point, along with presumably a demo that's coming soon. The Avengers game is another one that is, I think, pretty big, and one that I think legit maybe needs to work. If you guys have seen any footage from that game, to me, it looks okay, but it strikes me as a little generic, at least more so than what I would assume that, you know, Marvel would kind of slap their name on. So who knows what that thing is going to look like. But yeah, I'm super bummed out about the Cyberpunk one for, you know, the reasons that I said before and also just because I really want to play that game. But yeah, what about you, Dave?
All right, so Cyberpunk 2077, the funny part about it is I actually called it being delayed before it came out, and I have a unique reason. So I do voice acting, right? You know what I mean? Getting some roles, all that other stuff. And all right, I'm going into a whole story, but I got an email about like this role, and it was like, hey, this game, Cloudpunk, is based in a cyberpunk-esque world, the city of the Lawless, about you being a delivery driver. And I'm just like, holy shit, like, this is a voice role invite to try out for Cyberpunk 2077.
Nice, yeah.
So of course I tried out for every single role that I could try out for. I mean, a lot of people are all over the internet. But like when I saw that, I was like, wait, like it's mid-January. Like you telling me they're gonna try out all of us, pick out some people for the roles, get that in the game all before March. Like I was talking to Stream about it. I was like, there's just no way you can do all that in such a short amount of time. So for me, I was the beginning of January really, so I knew that would happen. Now, am I disappointed? Yeah. But if I get, I don't know, it's a lot of competition, but if I get a role, then shoot, take as long as you need, get me in the game. So I kind of knew that was happening. So it's not shocking once they officially announced it, because I was like, you know, you're still recruiting people to work on this. Right. Avengers is going to be my Naruto Shinobi 2 Shinobi Striker. I don't care if it was delayed, like, I'm not really looking forward to the game, to be honest, off what I've seen. But since it does have that multiplayer co-op, like, I love Naruto Shinobi Striker. That's probably one of my favorite multiplayer streaming periods. And, like, the game had so many issues, so many bugs, et cetera, but, like, it was just so enjoyable because you're playing with friends. Like, I feel like that is the only appeal to Avengers, but I'm not in the rush to play it. Like, I just, you know, if it comes out, whenever it comes out, cool, I'll give it a shot. As long as I have a group 2 to play with. It's like Assassin's Creed Unity. Like, that game had issues, but you play with the right squad, that would be amazing times. Final Fantasy 7, I don't mind. Make that game as great as you can. That's a big release, so I don't care if you push it back 2 more months. Like, just make it right. They got my girl Tifa in the game. So I really don't mind. Now it does kind of suck because like March is supposed to be that big game period of the year, but there's other stuff you can play.
Oh, for sure.
But I got mixed feelings, but it's cool.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. Actually, no, I am actually really happy that these games got pushed back, because as soon as I read the news for these games being pushed back, my wallet hopped out of my pocket and like breathed the sigh of relief. That's the expression. It was like, yo, we're good. We don't have to spend all this money on these games.
Save for another day. Yeah.
Save for another day. So I mean, it's cool on that aspect, because like for a minute, all of these games are really being bunched up all together. So I know for sales, that's not really too good. Having a lot of competition, especially with I know Cyberpunk. I know Cyberpunk was going to do really well, but I guess more or less the other games that are coming out that month, I mean, I guess they also had a sigh of relief. But I'm same boat. Like, just work on the game, make sure it's good, and we'll get it when we get it. We have all these games that came out last year. We got games that are coming out this year. We're good. We're good at the end of the day. So it's not the big doom and gloom that a lot of people online are making it out to be. And sort of to shout out what Rod said, it does suck that a lot of these developers are now working 60, 70 hour work weeks, and it's not cool.
Yeah, it's never a good thing. Unionize, that's what we need.
Yep. All right, so next up we have the news of Sony deciding to skip E3 again, while Microsoft was like, yo, you're not being here? All right, cool, we'll show up, we're gonna do our thing. But guys, how do you guys feel about Sony skipping out on E3 again?
Mine's really short, but I could be mistaken. But didn't they just say they would stop going, period, like a year or two ago? Like, I don't know. So I would be shocked more so if they said they would go, but I think they said something like they're just kind of done,
With like these trade shows in general. Yeah. This is definitely, a lot of people said last year that it was the death knell for E3. And I'm not sure if I buy that. Like, I just think maybe E3 transforms. Like, it's transformed so many times over the last, 20 odd years or however long it's been at this point. I mean, it's going to transform again. I think E3 will stay. And I think at this point we've got, we still have Microsoft going. We still have, Nintendo. They'll be there in their own way. And all the third party publishers and some who may, take over, at that slot. And I think Square took over their slot last year. And maybe they do the same thing this year. Maybe someone else new, rises to that occasion. I honestly think that at this point, we've asked this question maybe like 10 times, over the course of, 50 episodes or so. So Dave, I'm actually super curious from your perspective. Do you think E3 is even necessary right now?
I mean, I like E3. I actually go every year. So I was there 17, 18, 19. But I mean, like, it's nice. It's not really necessary, in my opinion, but I mean, it just brings such a culture of hype for game announcements and what things come out. So like, it's just like a Nintendo Direct. You know what I mean? Like, you're just so excited what you see. So I think it is necessary, but like, I guess it depends on what you mean. I guess it depends on what do you mean by necessary in that sense.
Right. So basically, in the sense that, a media company essentially doesn't have to, at least in my mind, they don't have to all gather here at this particular location to reveal a bunch of things that, they've got upcoming, because we have things like PlayStation State of Play, Nintendo Directs. You made that great point. Microsoft has Inside Xbox now that they were really, really hyping last year as well. So, there's really, at least in my mind, as far as like advertising goes and marketing hype and everything like that, I think you make a great point that it's a centralized time that is already ingrained in a lot of, gamers' minds of like June is E3 month. Like, that's when we get a bunch of stuff. And I think that will persist. But as far as like we get just this giant dump, or we have to get this dump on that particular week, I'm not sure how necessary that is anymore.
I actually would flip on the opposite side. I think it's not necessary for established companies, but for those that aren't, it would help a lot because we like when we go to E3, we're expecting to see all this whole bunch of new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean, even though Anthem wasn't that good, like Anthem was other hero, it's like other things. But like for Nintendo Direct, I would wake up at 6 a.m. and watch Nintendo Direct.
For sure.
Now, for an indie company or some company I'm not familiar with and say, hey, we do it at 6 a.m., I'm not getting up. I'm just going to read an article. Like, why would I wake up and do that? You get what I'm saying? But, like, that's a different tone. For Sony, Microsoft, I wouldn't even do it for Microsoft. I'm not even going to lie. But, like, I do it for Sony and Nintendo, but, like, anything else, I'm not doing it. But for E3, I'll watch it all day. So if you're not Sony or Nintendo, at least through my eyes, I'm going to read about you or find out about you or just not pay attention. But at E3, you'll catch my attention because it's E3. So I think it is necessary if you're not the biggest companies that already have your biggest following.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you on that for sure. Another good point to add to that is PAX is really good for indie developers as well. Mm-hmm. That those shows consistently garner a ton of eyes. I notice, and not as many as E3. So I think you make a really great point there. But there are just so many opportunities throughout the year now that I feel, you really have a great message that you can put out like at pretty much any time you want. But I it's interesting. We'll have to see how E3 continues to evolve.
And another thing about PAX, I think I could be wrong, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, of course. I feel like E3 makes more noises than PAX. But PAX is a little bit more personal because E3 is done in a more presentation style. Mm-hmm. PAX, you usually see in live streams on the floor. It's for the people who's there and maybe a trailer or two. But E3 is like, look, we showing the world this,
Right. Yeah, there's certainly a world stage like mentality behind E3. Absolutely. That I think is maybe only rivaled by the Game Awards at the end of the year.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, good points.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Sony, they've already established that they really don't care about these shows anymore. So I'm in the same boat. Have a state of play at 5, 6 a.m. I'm there. Same thing with Nintendo. I mean, I was up early. Oh no, I think I was already up from the Nintendo thing, the Smash Direct. But the times are just changing. Like just the way that they developers and publishers can show off their game. It's you don't have to stick with the old formats anymore. It's time to adapt and change. And I think that's what E3 is doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, last, we're gonna actually, I guess this is good news. We're gonna end it off on a good note. Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, this isn't quote unquote official, but it's damn near official because of the source that it's coming from. But, Jason Schreier from Kotaku is, he was back on Twitter saying that Horizon Zero Dawn is going to receive a port to the PC. So, I know for a lot of people, they're like, they don't really care, but to us, we sort of like, analyzing these things. And for us, at least for me, that's huge because this is a, first party Sony game now on another, platform. And I feel like if that does well, then that's going to set a whole precedent for other games. I mean, down the road, we may see, Uncharted on Xbox. But I'm going to open it up. Guys, how you guys feel about Horizon being on PC?
You got it first. I got to think on this one.
So, yeah, Chris, I definitely want to say up top, normally we don't really discuss rumors and things like that. But number one, like you said, the source is legit. And number two, this is a big enough situation where I think it's worth commenting on for sure. So everyone freaking out that this is a bad thing is just, to me, it's ridiculous. Like, more people getting to play this awesome game is not a bad thing. That's just number one. Like, that's, number two, I don't know if we'll straight up see Uncharted on Xbox. Like, I don't know if that's the leap that we're going to yet. If you remember that a few weeks ago when we discussed this on the show as well, the MLB The Show, that was actually contracted to go to other platforms, right? Now is a little bit different as like one of Sony's first party studios is developing, but it's not a Sony product in the traditional way that like, you would think of like Ratchet or Uncharted or whatever. but that was something that at the time we were like, hey, what could this mean? And I think at some point we may have said something like this might have the possibility of happening, like older, quote unquote, older games, like go out and maybe branch out to like a PC or something like that. Sony's interested in the PC market. That's the primary thing. Where I think the interesting intersection is, we know Microsoft's pushing Play Anywhere, which is great. That's an awesome initiative. That is gaining traction for them. Then that's like xCloud, that's Game Pass, all of that stuff. Microsoft wants to capture you not just on their box, but they want to capture you on, your tablet, your phone, your toaster or whatever. Like it's the same thing that like Stadia's idea is doing, but a lot better, I think. Like Microsoft's going to approach that a lot better. So seeing Sony become interested in the PC market in that way and actively kind of going after them, I think does a few things for them. It gets them revenue on a game that already exists, which is awesome. Generates hype for the sequel which will be on their next machine. My personal opinion, I don't know this, I'm speculating purely, but whenever we get this PlayStation event in February, which I'm sure it's going to happen in February, one of the games I'm betting is going to be some tease for Horizon 2. And that's maybe where they announce like this, where it's like, hey, you can, Horizon 2 on PS5 only, but Horizon 1's coming to PC as well. Similar strategy that I think Rockstar does with their games as well. Not necessarily in terms of sequels, but in terms of, we want to kind of maximize profits as much as possible. This is a way to do that. I'm not saying Uncharted on Xbox is an impossibility, Chris, but like, I just don't know if we're going to jump there immediately.
It's not going to be an immediate thing, but once they start getting that money, who's to stop them from doing something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it honestly, this move represents like more of a platform agnostic future, which is insanely interesting to me. So a lot of people who were speculating at the end of this generation saying that this upcoming gen is going to be potentially the last one. Like, I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but I could see the wheels starting to they could turn in that direction. And soon you can play everything everywhere. And that is an interesting prospect to me. I think that this is super exciting and says a lot about, where some of these platform manufacturers' heads are going into the next gen.
Man, okay, so I agree with you on some points, but I disagree on some. Mm-hmm. So, like, what I feel like Sony is going to do, I do agree that they probably will put Horizon Zero Dawn on PC. I don't see, alright, on the idea of putting Uncharted on Xbox, I don't see that happening with the way that PS4 didn't even want to let Fortnite players play with other players. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, they were the last hop on the bandwagon. The game called Wargroove, they did that. Like, just looking at trends, they're very unwilling to say, hey, you can play with other people other than PC. You know what I mean? Right. I think Sony's approach is going to be the same way that Monster approach is, that you release it on console first, and then at a later time, we'll release it on PC also. So you release Zero on PlayStation, then you release it on PC. You release sequel Zero 2 on PS4 or PS5, then you get it to PC. Because by doing that, everybody that just really can't wait to play the game needs to pick up my console. Mm-hmm. And then 6 months later, when sales have slowed down because everybody wants to play it, now there's a whole new market of people to play. So like I could see them doing that for the future consoles, future games. Now, to bring them on a whole other console, I don't think so, but I think the future of gaming consists of people being able to play with each other, because there's such a big push for that. Like, Microsoft is willing, Nintendo's always willing, you know what I mean? PC, of course, but Sony's unwilling, but if they're the only person not agreeing, they're gonna kind of get pushed to that.
Yeah. So what's gonna push that? I feel that Sony right now, they're in a really good place where they don't have to make moves like that, but they're going to react if something big happens. So I feel like it's up to Microsoft now to push something wild on like the Switch and make a shit ton of money off of it. Right. Once that happens, Sony's gonna be like, hey, we want money too.
Well, that partnership's already technically there between the Switch and Microsoft. Like, I mean, Banjo wasn't shocking to me after, if I'm not mistaken, there's a way for you to look at your Xbox Live points on the Nintendo Switch. Like, that connection's already there between the companies. So it's like, that's why it's funny that after that was announced, a month or two later, Banjo officially was released. So, like, I think Microsoft and Nintendo are definitely going to be working on that. But I just don't know. I just don't see it.
And it's a thing of too of like Sony. So Dave, you're making really great points about the reasons of why Sony's doing something. To add to that, I mean, Sony's the market leader, so like they don't have to do what Microsoft and Nintendo are doing. And also those three are wildly divergent in what their goals are in terms of like how they want to conduct their business and how they want to continue to gain capital. Like Sony's going after the single player kind of big budget blockbuster gaming market. Microsoft is again play anywhere, and Nintendo wants you to kind of like be able to play kind of anywhere too. So a similar play anywhere initiative, just like on a smaller scale. And so it will definitely behoove and benefit Nintendo and Microsoft to work together in that way, rather than Sony making those moves. So this particular move is interesting in that reason alone, just to see like where all that ends up, because it's like, what are their next gen plans like for a lot of their games? I mean, maybe it leads nowhere, maybe it leads everywhere. Who knows? But it's pretty fun.
So I guess me saying like the whole Uncharted thing, I feel like that's like a super read into the future. Cause I mean, I can see where you guys are like, it's not going to happen anytime soon. I agree. But like I said, also all Sony has to see is the potential of making even more money.
Yeah.
And there they go. Like it's something that I could see happening, maybe a couple years from now. Not anytime soon, but I wouldn't be surprised. And of course, if it happens, I'll be the first to be on Twitter saying, yo, I claim this on episode 48. Go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, it's something that may happen down the road, may not, but it's just interesting to see pretty much.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened on my Wi-Fi's end.
Oh, you're good.
Right. Yeah, you're good. So that's that story. Once again, how do you guys feel about anything we just talked about? Are you mad that Byleth is in Smash? Are you upset that your potentially favorite game of the year got pushed back? Do you care that Sony won't be at E3? And Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, are you going to pick it up? Do you care? Let's talk about it in the comments. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode with the topic of streaming. Of course, we have Data Dave on the episode today. So I feel like it's a really good time to talk about, just, I guess, the overall shift of like where streaming is going right now. You have, Ninja over this past year jumping over to Mixer. Of course, with other big content creators either being on Mixer. I've read stories that people are jumping on YouTube, and then people are like exclusively staying on Twitch. But I guess can we like sort of like step back and I guess let's talk about your experience just streaming on the platform.
Like, all right, how far? I can hit about 5 different topics just off what you said. So it's like, what do you want to hear? We can talk about experience. I have personal experience. We talking contract and switching. I'm not switching, of course. Like, what you want first?
Yeah, wherever you want to start, man.
Well, my experience on Twitch, just to be honest, I love Twitch. I really do. It's really one of the best platforms for live streaming right now compared to like Mixer, Caffeine, other streaming platforms. In regards to growth, for me personally, not to, throw out my stuff, it's been really hard to grow. Like, I know ways that I can grow, but they wouldn't be the necessarily most enjoyable way. I just have to be a one game streamer, but I'm not a one game gamer guy. I play a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Even though I'm not really into shooters as much, like I love RPGs, I love stories, strategy, slower games, but like in some of those games, especially strategy, I don't think many people want to watch Civilization 6 on stream. Like, it's just too slow of a game, but I enjoy it. So it's like taking that L saying, this is my off-stream game. This stream I might grow from. Like, I kind of touched on that at the beginning, but like in it, you just gotta learn. Like, you just gotta be that. I feel like to grow on Twitch, you either have to be a pro at something, you have to be that entertaining. You know what I mean? You have to level up your content. You gotta vary it without being too varied to where you lose your audience. Like, I could talk a whole hour or two easily about Twitch and growth in my experiences. I've only been on there, I say only, like it's not 3.5 years plus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And almost daily. So like, it's been an experience. It's definitely a learning experience, and I learned a lot from it. If you want to talk on, and let me know if you're going to guide me in any questions or directions.
Okay.
'Cause I I do this every day. If we want to talk about the future of where Twitch and other platforms are going, I don't foresee any platform taking over Twitch over the next couple years, but I do foresee a lot of growth on those platforms from taking streamers like Ninja, Shroud. You know what I mean? Like Mixer has came up, but it hasn't come up enough to where it could be considered a huge thing, but it still is a significant thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Twitch has, I think the statistics said like 76% of the viewers in the market. That means Mixer probably has, I'm just guessing, 5 to 10. Mixer's issue is Mixer brings in streamers that brings in their audiences, but are they really bringing in new people that want to watch new games on Twitch? Twitch is literally on Amazon Prime box talking about Twitch. You know what I mean? So that brings more people to check it out. The notoriety, the streams with celebrities, celebrity streaming, you know, on that. But at the same time, other platforms, are you both familiar with caffeine.tv?
I am.
Offset streams on caffeine.tv. You know what I mean? Bryson Tiller, if I'm not mistaken, streams on Mixer. So, you know what I mean? It's that we're doing what they can to bring it in. It's just, I think I'm gonna hop topic around. If there's anything specific you want me to talk on, let me know. I'm gonna hop, all the stuff. I can go all day. But back to the point, let's talk about Mixer. Mixer brings in big streamers to try to get them to bring their entire huge audiences over. How I think Mixer can grow, honestly, they need to start bringing those mid-sized streamers on there that have communities, because those people watching them will start watching other streamers, and that's what Twitch has going on. Like, me, I don't watch one streamer. Like, you know, like, exclude myself, I watch a lot of people. It's a community. That's how most viewers are. Most viewers may be watching 1 or 2 people, but they also follow 3, 4, 5, 6, 20. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they had a community. I don't think Mixer has that. Mixer might have a lot of viewers that are like, I watch Ninja. I watch
when you say that, like they maybe watch one streamer or two, but they follow more people. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, I'm not too much into like the streaming subculture, so like I'm trying to gain more knowledge in that. And so, what do you mean?
Well, I can't speak for everybody, but like I'll use one viewer I know. Not saying names, but like one viewer mainly watches me because I always stream 7 to 12 p.m. at night every day. Okay. So they always watching. But when I'm not online and they want to watch Twitch, they're watching somebody else. But maybe they're at work, maybe they're chilling, you know, maybe they occasionally watch that person. But if me and that other person are streaming at the same time, they might be watching me. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I might be their main. I come to Twitch to mainly watch Dave. But if Dave is on, I'll watch this person or I'll watch that person. You get what I'm saying? But most of my streaming time and watching most of my on Twitch time is watching them. If I cancel the day, they may be watching that other person. So I think a lot of people are like that. I kind of am, even though I try to watch as many people as I can. Like when I go to work and I'm watching Twitch, that same person's on my work schedule. So I watch them a lot. And I tend not to, like sometimes I might go watch somebody else new or check them out. But generally I'm watching them because of their content I enjoy. You get what I kind of follow me?
Yeah, yeah.
They know me as a viewer. They know me as Day to Dave, or you know what I mean. So we already have that type of rapport, and that's why I primarily watch them.
So your journey, can you talk a little bit about like what got you started in it, and what made you flip that switch and go like, you know, oh man, I really want to try streaming out.
It's very, very funny how I got into it. So I was playing Overwatch with a friend of mine and his coworker. And he's like, hey, Dave, my coworker's streaming. I'm like, streaming? What's that? And he's just like, it's like streaming on Twitch. I'm like Twitch plays Pokemon? Like, that's all I knew about Twitch, genuinely. Like, I was just like, I watch Twitch plays Pokemon because I heard about these memes. I'm like, what are these people doing? What's Twitch? So, within that, I was like, dang, well, he was explaining to me at Twitch, you can stream with viewers, and they watch you, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. I wish I could stream. He's like, yeah, you can stream. Just, you know, have a microphone and have a webcam. So I had like a pretty busted laptop. It was like literally coming apart. I could only play like indie games and maybe Overwatch on the lowest quality, but I bought me like a little $40 microphone. I used the webcam on my local laptop computer, and I streamed what I could stream, which was the Overwatch. I streamed Undertale. You know what I mean? I just like, you know, like that's the cheapest game of a student. I was a TA at the time. Told me, he was just like, you know, like that game's cool. I was like, all right, I'll try it. So Undertale, you know, it has its own niche community. So I was lucky I picked that randomly.
Such a good game.
It is a good game. People are always hyped to do it. And like, I had one viewer and like, I was like, I don't really know about this game. Like, I'm kind of lost in it. He started guiding me through it and we started talking about like anime and gaming. And I'm just like, yo, this is kind of dope. So I kept streaming Undertale to completion. And like, and through that, I think I got like my first 8 followers and like we was all chatting. And like, I was like, yo, Twitch is fun. Like, I think I'm gonna keep doing it. So I saw this challenge, this everyday streaming challenge where a dude said he streamed 2 hours a day every day, and he wrote down his experience, and I read the whole thing. It was like a Reddit post. I don't think it's there anymore. I actually ironically contacted the guy after I got partnered on Twitch. It was like, yo, like, if I didn't read your post, I would not have tried this.
That's awesome.
But long story short, I was like, I'm gonna take an everyday streaming challenge. So I did that. I streamed 2 hours a day. I wasn't getting the kind of growth I wanted and interaction, because when you switch games, you got less viewers. So I was like, okay, how do you grow on Twitch? So I started like reading, watching YouTube videos, reading on Reddit, seeing it, and for me, it was hours time. So me, I'm crazy when I'm interested in something. Like, I will put in buku amount of hours of time. So I was crazy enough to say, I'm taking the everyday streaming challenge, and I'm going 8 hours a day. I do not recommend it, but I really don't. But I streamed like 380 days plus. Not every stream was an 8-hour stream. I mean, I was a PhD student. I had work. You know what I mean? I had a lot, but I did those 8 hours a day.
Right.
And, I got partnered in 5 to 6 months, my first 6 months of streaming. I had a huge amount of growth. Like, I found things that worked for me. Right. And that's just my Twitch journey. And I've just been doing every day that I can. Now, granted, now recently, and things like days off, life comes up, work, I'm sick. You know what I mean? But generally, I have not taken a huge amount of off time from it. Now, I don't recommend that for anybody, but like, that was just what, at the time, I was like, that's the kind of work I want to put in because I find this fun.
Right. Huh. So you mentioned that you found a rhythm that kind of worked for you. What did that end up being?
So like, it can become, and if you ever want to talk about like Twitch stuff and growth, I can share my input, but it's not like, it doesn't work for everybody. It's content creation. But for me, it was just playing more niche games I was interested in. Like, I've never really been interested. I'll play them with friends, but I really don't, like Call of Duty, Apex, etc. Like me, I was like, I like Pokemon. And that just kind of what blew my channel. I like Monster Hunter. Like, stuff that where it's big enough to be known, but not many people stream or play it as heavily as I was willing to do because I just enjoy it. You know what I mean? And just luckily my niche resonated with a lot of people. So that means like that niche game that I played, people check me out. But luckily I could say, I'm not trying to humble brag or whatever. But, like, I guess the people that did find me be like, hey, you like this guy, I'm gonna keep coming back. And then just more and more people kept coming back to my streams. And like that one viewer, like, oh, we just averaged 10. Oh, we averaged 15, just started to get higher and higher because they were like, oh, we like Dave. He's kind of cool, So
yeah.
That's just it just kind of built organically over time. And like, me, I'm having any stream I do, I can say like, yeah, you do it every day, 3.5 years, doesn't get boring. I'm like, no, like, I be having fun every time. So it's just kind of how it happened.
And I feel like that is something that I find fascinating about streamers and the culture surrounding them. So it's like viewers find personalities engaging. They find them appealing. They want to continually re-engage with those people. And it seems like what you just mentioned too about, people saying, oh, hey, Dave's cool. Like, I want to kind of hang around that guy. He's having a good time. He's having a good time. Therefore, I'm having a good time. Like that, it seems like you, and Dave, you're, this is the first time I'm meeting you. You seem like an awesome guy, like great individual. And so like, I totally see why people are attracted to that and want to like watch that continually. I think of other streamers, like a lot of more famous streamers, and it seems like there's a negative connotation there, like of, maybe there's, a lot of yelling and a lot of loudness and a lot of like, there's a lot of stereotypes around streamers. I feel like, do you feel like you break any of those stereotypes?
I feel like I really do. Granted, like, I guess, all right, so for me, because I follow so many streamers, I can name any other streamers that are, not me per se, but bring a similar vibe, different content, unique. But I feel like if we're talking stereotypical streamer, I mean, I don't know what topics we kind of gonna come touch and go on, but
yeah, you don't have to say any names. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, no, I ain't saying names or nothing like that. Not names, but I'm just saying you would think of black male streamer like, oh, he might like 2K. He might like, if we're talking stereotypes, he might like 2K, Call of Duty stuff. I don't play sports games. I don't play shooters. Like, people be thinking, like, it was funny. Some people would be like, man, you probably know like Dragonball Z. I'm like, I will name 20 anime none of y'all heard that I can talk, that I can quote. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and just the thing about me is that, like, I can speak anime, like, for days. Like, I used to have that Anime Planet list and all that jazz. You know what I mean? But it's just, I feel like I do break a lot of stereotypes because I know stuff that people expect, like, Or just like people were just my chat was so shocked when I started talking about K-pop artists and J-Rock and Baby Metal. You know what I mean? But like, you just wouldn't expect that if you met me and had a conversation that wasn't gaming or wasn't anime. But like, I feel like that, I break that stereotype. And there's a lot of people that do that too, but I think that's one of the things a lot of people can vibe with.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, that's something that I really love. We love bringing on people on the show who, they have a voice that is underrepresented, in the media, just in general. And so we love having, obviously Chris and I are both black men. So we understand some of that as well. So we really do appreciate, just any time that, someone like ourselves or someone like you, or anybody that we've had on this show so far, can really lend their voice to this medium. Cause it's one that we all love, it could always use more diversity.
Yeah.
All right. So, I have a question. So, how do you feel like for someone like a company like Mixer, Caffeine, in your opinion, what would be the way for them to jump up and get more of the market share?
Honestly, they have to find a way to, they have to get people to want to watch it. Like people that aren't gamers know Twitch. Most gamers don't know caffeine.tv. Most gamers are starting to learn Mixer. You know what I mean? So they may check it out, but at the end of the day, they need to get known commonly by people that are outside of it and are inside of it. So first, of course, the gamers. For Mixer, you need to make it more appealing from the stream. I've watched some streams on there. I'm still confused about the layout and UI. Twitch has done a great job about doing that. But for Mark, you just got to make it more appealing to stream more and easy. Caffeine, if you watch these streams on Caffeine, I'm still confused at how the chat works, honestly. So you know what I mean? It's just, they have to make it appealing to get people to do there. I honestly think the biggest move they could do, and that's what they're kind of doing, is that they're paying people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A lot of people stream on Twitch for hours on end, and they just don't make that much. Shoot, it's much, I hate to sound like a brag, but as much viewing and following I've had on Twitch, it's not as high as it used to be. You know what I mean? With as much as I made, it still wasn't enough to live off of or be full time, And I've been on there daily. But if they could promise me a crazy amount a year, that's tempting to take. Cause I'm making money and I'm doing what I enjoy.
Yeah.
So, it's just, I think they have to be able to not only keep bringing in the ninjas, the shrouds, etc., but you gotta bring those people middle and lower in following to keep them good, let them be paid, and help promote them to grow. I've seen plenty of people on Twitch that are most talented people I know, and they're not partnered, they don't have many viewers, etc. I'm this is unique, this is entertaining for me. Why aren't you big? But Twitch isn't typically going to boost them up. They're gonna be hey, I'll just use big names hey, Pokemon's playing League of Legends today. I'm I know Pokemon's playing League of Legends. She's the biggest joint. So why are you? I understand why you promote her as an entertainer, how big she is in the clout. But why can't we bring up somebody from 10, 20, 50 viewers and see if we market them, would they become 100 viewers, 200 viewers? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And they made pushes for that. That's the ambassador program. It's worked for some. Yeah, maybe, you know what I mean? That's promoting them, but you need to do more of that. Twitch Weekly, I don't need to be seeing Shroud Ninja Pokemon. I know them. Show me something I haven't seen. But that's what the ambassador program's doing partly. So, but I want more of it on a bigger scale.
Yeah, and that'll be nice to see, because I feel with my experience just watching streams, I've always enjoyed people that are either starting out or just have a thing going, and I feel they're more of their heart is into it. Mm-hmm. They're more engaged with the chat, or there's just, I don't know, it feels they're more themselves than trying to live up to a persona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But so, I don't know. It's a lot that goes into it. But you go ahead.
Yeah. So something that we've been doing for 2020 is talk about what we want to see, I guess, not only this year, but just what we want to see in the next decade for certain topics. But I want to ask you, anything that you want to see, anything you want to see how streaming grows, or what do you want to see in just the whole community, or just the aspect of streaming?
I don't know. I don't think on the spot. I just want more growth for everybody. It sounds so generic, but it's there needs to be better ways for people that are only streamers or primarily streamers to grow. Cause, I don't know the exact statistic of this, but someone brought it up to me that I was a streamer. Like back in the Justin TV days and early Twitch days, everybody on platform averaged about 70 something viewers. You know what I mean? Granted, there were less people. I think they said something like everybody on Twitch on average as a normal streamer can average 20. Like, why isn't that number higher? We got more viewing, we got more people watching it. Twitch is more popular as it's ever been. So how is the average lower? You know what I mean? It's like, is that the quality? Is the viewership? I don't know. It's probably all of that, but I don't know. I just want to see people come up. I'm trying to come up. I'm trying to see everybody come up and grow. So I'm just one of those people. Like, I don't know. So that's what I like to see. Just everybody being successful, having fun.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited, for, like, once again, having you on and, like, you bringing in this insight and just, like, something that I wanted to do 2020 was to, just expand out, network more, talk to people, connect with people. And, honestly, it's just all about, like, just reaching out, like how I reached out to you to get you on and everything. And hopefully, like, me reaching out, now we have, the Should I Play That, fans to now be exposed to you. They'll start watching your stuff. Your people tune into this episode. They're like, oh, okay, Should I Play That? That's a cool show. It's all about, like, just, connecting with people. And I think that's why streaming is so popular, is that you're connecting with that person that's playing the game or just, doing whatever they're doing. So, I guess this is a good, unless, Rod, do you have any other questions or any topics you want to bring up?
No, I think you pretty much nailed them all. Yeah, Dave,
Okay.
Thanks again, for sure.
Thanks for the invite. It was cool to do.
Yeah, man. Invite's always open. If you ever have, like, a pressing topic you want to, jump on and talk about, you're always welcome. Once again, you guys can catch Data Dave on Twitch at Data Dave. It's on the screen. Anything you want to shout out? Rolling red carpet. What you got?
I don't know. I want to check out not only me, but everybody here. I mean, they listen to you, but check out everybody's content.
Okay. Also want to shout out that you did just release a shirt. So check out his shirt.
Oh yeah, them Token Me joints is fire. Them joints is fire. Yeah, check them out.
Nice. So Rod, what you got for us, man?
Yeah, first thing, definitely mea culpa on my part. It is Nomada Studio. That is the developer for Grist. That was bugging me the entire episode that I messed it up so bad. But it is Nomada Studio. They definitely deserve to be shouted out because, again, that game is great. And secondly, thanks again to Dave. He is awesome. Definitely an open invite anytime he would like, for sure. And if you want to support the show, all you have to do, just leave us a comment on the iTunes page. Rating, anything helps. Just expand the community like Chris said, and thanks for listening.
All right, so with that, we're going to sign out for the week. That has been episode 48. Guys, enjoy your week. Play more video games. Drink more water. Enjoy life. And just connect with people, just like what we said. Have fun. Peace out. We'll catch you next time.